Welcome to How You Livin', a transformative podcast featuring best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and minister, Dr. Rick Rigsby. And now, Dr. Rick.
Hello, friends. Thanks so much for listening. We're in the midst of discussing how to drive change in your life in a positive way. Whether setting personal goals or developing professionally, change is the prerequisite for growth, and to merely exist, to maintain the status quo in one's life, promotes stagnation. Bottom line, if we're not changing, we're not growing. To change, to evolve, means forward progress must occur. Making positive changes, moving forward, decreases entropy and increases our level of overall satisfaction. Friends, I believe people really want to move forward. The question becomes how? How does one advance and make positive changes? I believe you begin by developing a pragmatic and reasonable roadmap. This series is motivated based on my decision to make positive changes necessary to improve my health. Over the last couple of years, I've lost over 100 pounds. And to maintain good health requires incorporating basic changes on a daily basis. Losing weight, you're not going to believe this, but that part was easy. But committing daily to continuing the process of transformation, that's the challenge. Committing to continue the process. It's called forward momentum. You see, for years, I would embark on change only to realize change on a short-term basis. My problem? I was outcome-oriented. Change is a process-driven endeavor. So part one of this series is titled Responsibility. Change will not occur unless you assume responsibility. My father taught me that. My dad, the wisest man I ever met in my life, a third-grade dropout. He taught me that reasonable change begins with assuming responsibility. He drilled in my head, son, don't expect other people to do for you what you can do for yourself. In other words, assume responsibility for yourself. This seems like such a small thing, but the mental shift is huge because the shift moves you from justification to acknowledgement, and such space has no room for blaming others or making excuses. Being responsible comes with a price. The problem for me? I wanted change. I just wasn't willing to pay the price. Former Alabama football head coach Nick Saban, who won 7 national titles, the most in college football history, once stated, "Everyone wants to win, but not everyone is willing to pay the price." You see, winners assume responsibility. Winners are accountable. Winners don't expect others to do for them. Winners have a right estimate of themselves. They are acutely aware of their weaknesses that need improvement and strengths that they need to exploit. And they're willing to pay the price to get better. It's been said that great people do things that other people don't. So the first element that drives change, responsibility, assuming responsibility, being accountable, assuming control. It requires a mental shift, a paradigm change. In other words, we're not going to be successful making external changes without making internal commitments. The second element that drives change is the topic for part 2 of this series. I've simply titled it Vision. As mentioned, for years I'd be excited about making changes, only to watch my enthusiasm fade and my frustration grow. The reason? I had no plan for sustained change, no roadmap, no vision. All I had was desire. And I would quickly learn that you need more than desire to make sustained change. Scripture states without a vision, the people perish. And I was perishing, not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically, mentally, in every way. I was perishing. I am today discovering that blaming others for my circumstances and making excuses for my behaviors blurs vision. The result? I was becoming non-productive. Rather than moving forward in a positive way, my vision was diminishing. Samuel Chan's quote is worth requoting. Samuel Chan wrote this great book, Leadership Pain, The Classroom for Growth. In this book, he mentions, quote, when we consider our pain more important than our vision, we will reduce our vision to the threshold of our pain. I want to say that again. When we consider our pain more important than our vision, we'll reduce our vision down to the threshold of our pain, end quote. Friends, don't be afraid to look in the mirror and ask the hard questions. A clear assessment of where we are is the birthplace for a clear vision. So, let's construct a vision by asking the following questions. Number one, what has stopped you in the past? In other words, identify specifically the roadblock. Number two, what specific changes do you desire? In other words, specify the specific changes. Number three, what daily action steps are required? In other words, implement some simple, pragmatic steps each day. Number four, why? Why should I intentionally carry out these steps? In other words, give yourself a reason or reasons for intentionally carrying out change. And number five, what is my strategy statement? In other words, what is my mission statement? What is the vision that I can articulate to myself every single day? Now, this is what I want you to do, friends. Write each of these questions down and then respond to the questions and make sure to write the responses down as well. Put them on your phone, put them in your computer, put them someplace where you can see them on a daily basis. I use index cards, but make sure that you're verbally mentioning the questions and answers every day for as long as it takes to rewire the way you think. I find that as I mention these questions and responses, it really challenges my existing paradigm. I find that as I mention, for example, what stops forward progress, I remind myself what I need to remain in process. I remind myself that I'm on a journey and it's a step-by-step, day-by-day journey. Hearing these changes that I need to make helps to reinforce the positive habit that I need to replace the previous habit. And so, here's an example from my weight loss journey, what I'm trying to explain. Number one, I identify what stopped me in the past. What has stopped me? Blaming, excusing, making justifications, having no plan, just a desire. Second, I specify what changes I desire. I want to improve the quality of my life. Third, I verbalize the implementation of improving that quality, what's required daily. I must control my impulses. I must reject eating based on emotions. I must learn not to eat with my eyes and also learn the difference between hunger and need. I want you to note something before I go on. My daily habits have not mentioned food, but my relationship to food. The issue is not so much motivation or even willpower, but developing a vision that is pragmatic, doable, and most of all, addresses the root issue. The root issue for me, my relationship with food. I had an unhealthy relationship. In other words, I refused to clearly see and acknowledge the reasons why I did not move from desire to change. Back to my list. Number 4, intention. Why should I carry out these steps? Friends, this is critical. If you can't answer the why question, you won't give yourself reasons for implementing daily steps. If I don't answer the why question, I will contribute to my premature demise. For me, it meant this. When I asked why should I carry out these steps, I thought about when I was a widower 28 years ago. If I don't carry out these steps, I'm going to die. I'm going to make my wife a widow in her 60s. I'm going to leave 4 sons without a father, grandchildren without a pappy. I will not have fulfilled the call of God on my life, and my health would be compromised for all the years remaining in my life. Asking the why question is critical. It is a critical part of formulating vision. If you cannot convince yourself with good reasons, forget about achieving an expected outcome. I like what British statesman Francis Bacon once said. He said, the duty and office of rhetoric is to apply reason to imagination for the better moving of the will. Translation, your reasoning compels your will to act. Your reasoning gives your will permission to act. I remember back in college, I remember one night studying for a midterm exam that I did not study for the entire semester. I remember a knock at the door, a bunch of my buddies on their way to a party. Hey, Rick, let's go to this party with us. And I said, no, I got to study. I got a midterm tomorrow. Come on, Rick. Come on, forget about that, man. Go to the party with us. No, I got to study. I haven't studied the entire semester. The midterm is in a few hours. And then they said this, hey, Rick, that girl that you really like, she's going to be at the party. Boom. I'm up. I'm with the fellas. I'm gone. Listen again to what Francis Bacon said. The duty and office of rhetoric is to apply reason to imagination for the better moving of the will. If you cannot convince yourself with good reasons, you will not achieve the expected outcome. And that's really, really important because it's so critical that you give yourself reasons and then speak those reasons aloud as to why you want to make daily sacrifices to carry out your vision. And number 5, what is my strategy statement? In other words, it's important to clearly articulate your vision. Think about this. We have mission statements for many things in life. We have mission statements for work expectations, for codes of conduct, even for retirement. But what about a mission statement for daily change? What about a game plan for daily change? What about a strategy statement for daily change? So, what is your strategy statement? What is your mission? What is it that you can emphatically state every single day that you're willing to accomplish without compromise, without negotiating? Let me give you an example. You remember Truett Cathy. Truett Cathy, for some of you that don't know, was the founder of Chick-fil-A, an amazing business based on a simple chicken sandwich. Truett Cathy turned a chicken sandwich into a billion-dollar business, right? He established camps for orphans. He used his wealth to help others. He honored his God. He honored his family. He honors his employees to this day. And despite hardships, he never wavered from his mission. And despite what reservations shareholders may have had, Cathy's vision to honor God included closing on Sundays, closing all 3,000 Chick-fil-A restaurants on Sundays. He did this because it was part of his vision plan, part of his mission statement to honor his God. I was privileged to visit Chick-fil-A recently. I actually sat at Truett Cathy's desk, a desk untouched from his last day of work, August 2014. And I discovered sitting at his desk, his Bible was still open to Proverbs 22:1, his life verse. Truett Cathy's life verse, a good name is to be more desired than great wealth. You know what, friends? I got to tell you something. It's so obvious to me that Truett Cathy lived his strategy statement, his mission statement every single day. It's a statement that guided him during the good times and the bad times. I want to ask you a question. Do you have a strategy or a mission statement? Something that guides your words and actions every single day? If you don't, how do you know where you're going? My mission statement, as an example, that guides me every day is simply this. Every day, I commit to glorifying God, to honoring my wife, to serving my family, and to offering encouragement and hope to all I come in contact with. Now, to achieve this, my mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health must be at an optimal level. And the Bible verse that supports my statement, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Friends, your vision is your daily expectation for behavior, your requirement that you give yourself, your personal standard. It's a standard that's non-negotiable. It's a standard that you don't compromise. The implementation of this standard will be successful if your vision is practical, if your vision is clear, and if your vision is specific. Thus, sharpen your vision by identifying what has held you back in the past, by specifying changes you desire to achieve, by implementing those basic daily steps, by intentionally reminding yourself why these steps are critical, and by articulating your strategies every single day, identifying roadblocks, specifying goals, implementing daily steps, intentionally reminding yourself of the importance of these steps, and verbalizing your strategy on a daily basis, critical to developing and implementing and realizing the vision that you're setting forth this very day. Well, friends, that's going to do it for this episode. Until we meet again, this is Dr. Rick asking the most important question I can ask. How you living?
Are you ready to make an impact in your world right now? Do you want to stop existing and start living your best life right now? Dr. Rick wants to give you the first chapter of his best-selling book, Lessons from a Third Grade Dropout, absolutely free. Just go to www.rickrigsby.com/free gift to get the print or audiobook right now.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.